So taking a moment to get cozy, to allow yourself to arrive. Allowing your body to rest on your mat. And bringing your focus and attention to your breath. Noticing where your breath reaches and where it doesn't. Where it has ease and where it may be restricted. Do you notice your belly rise and fall? And do you notice how you arrive? Moving your attention to your head and neck, noticing how your head is resting on the floor. Notice, is it to one side or the other, tilted back or tucked in? Are you using a pillow or just resting? Moving your attention into your neck, noticing, is there any tension in your neck? Back, sides, front. Allowing your focus and your attention just to be curious. Moving your attention down into your shoulders. Are they up at your ears or rested to the floor? Moving to the shoulder blades. Noticing if one is more present on the floor than the other. And do they feel even? Moving your focus now around to the chest and front body. Noticing, is it broad and open or slightly concave? Does it feel tight and restricted? Moving into the back, mid-back, noticing one side of your rib cage and the other. Are they connecting to the floor in the same way? Can your breath reach each side in the same way? Moving your focus to the front, the lower rib cage, and your abdomen. Noticing, does one rib side feel taller, higher than the other? Can the breath expand more on one side than the other? Are there tensions in the abdomen? Moving your focus now down through your arms and hands, noticing where in time and space they are resting. Are they down beside your body? Palms up or palms down? Are they resting on your body? Just noticing, being aware of any tension. Just allowing yourself to be curious as you go through the Soma scan. And moving our attention back down into the hips and pelvis and sacrum. Noticing the lower abdomen. Noticing the glutes. Are they clenched or tight? Do the hips feel equal? Or is one higher or heavier into the floor than the other? Noticing in through the pelvic floor, Does one side feel tighter than the other? And moving down into the legs, noticing if your legs are long and on the floor, or if they're bent at the knees, feet flat on the floor. Just noticing if there's any tension in the hamstrings or quads or adductors, the sides, front or back. Moving into the joints and noticing if there's any tension that is being held there. Allowing your focus move into the shins and the calves, the fronts and the back and the sides of the lower legs, into the ankles, into the tops of the feet and the soles of the feet, all the way to the toes. Just noticing if there's any tensions there. Allowing your Soma scan just to bring awareness. And if your knees are not bent at this time with your feet flat on the floor, I invite you to do so now. And moving into a tilt and flatten, allowing you to focus on your breath. And as you breathe, taking a preparatory breath in and out. And on your next breath in, feel your belly rise to the ceiling. And as you exhale, feel the contraction in the front abdomen as you breathe out and bring your back to the floor. As you breathe in, your belly button rises to the ceiling. Tip of the tailbone will tilt down to the floor, back gently rises. And as you exhale, feel your contraction in through the abdomen as your tip of the tailbone goes to neutral and then rises up to the ceiling as your back body connects to the floor. Allowing yourself to go through 3 more of these breaths at your own pace. Remembering in your mind's eye can be even more than enough. We never want to create pain with any motion or movement that we're doing in these somatic movements and exercises. Less is more. And when you've done your 3 breaths, just allowing yourself to take notice through your Soma. And notice whatever it is that you notice. We're going to do 2 more breaths in this fashion. Really allowing yourself to notice when you breathe in and that belly button rises to the ceiling, watch for any sensor motor amnesia. And as you breathe out, doing the same. Allowing your curiosity to deepen, really looking for fluidity and ease. And if there's any clunks or jags or quickening, that's that sensor motor amnesia. Allowing yourself to kind of re-engage to just before where that occurred and bringing it through the movement. And if there's any jags or clunks, again, just bring it into that movement just before the jag, and slowly with control, bring it through. Knowing that you can breathe at your own pace as you play with the movement. And one more. And on this next one, I'm going to invite you to bring your awareness down into your legs. Notice, do they move as you inhale and as that back gently arches? And as you exhale, do you notice movement in the neck or shoulders, head or chin? As you inhale, noticing if you can notice into the shoulders, allowing that fluidity to be through your whole system. And if you notice that you're holding in any area, just invite it to soften. Invite it to have ease. Expanding your focus, allowing you to really notice throughout your whole body. Can your whole body feel this breath? Noticing where it does and where it doesn't. Just allowing curiosity. And after your next inhale, I invite you to lay your legs long on the floor. Again, trusting your body. If it doesn't feel right for any part in your system, just adjust as need be. This is where having a pillow underneath the knees can just soften some of that tension in the back line. So taking a moment now, if you'd like to get a pillow. And if your body is happy where it is, that's wonderful. Just allowing yourself to notice what that feels like. And if it's comfortable for you, you can extend your arms up and above your head so they're resting on the floor. And they can be out straight above your head or almost kind of like a Y. And taking a preparatory breath here. I'm going to think about extending our left leg to the wall that's near our feet. So like reaching out with our left leg, like we're trying to touch that wall. And slowly, with control, bringing our hips back to neutral. And you'll notice as we reach out with the right leg to reach out to that wall, that right leg will go longer and that left leg may rise up. And slowly, with control, bringing them to neutral. Now, when we're ready, extending that left leg, we're going to reach that left leg to the wall that our foot is towards and reach up with our right arm. Just gently, remembering that in our mind's eye can be more than enough, and slowly, with control, bringing it back all to neutral. And now that right leg extends out, making it long and reaching up with that left hand like it's reaching up to the wall above us. And slowly at your own pace, coming to neutral and changing to the left and the right arm, reaching out with both of them, keeping the body in relaxed state, fully resting on the floor as we do so. Moving to the right leg and left arm. And allowing yourself to find your breath and your own rhythm as you take yourself through 2 more on each side. Remembering in your mind's eye can be more than enough. And if it feels too much with your arms, just allowing them to rest. You can do just with your legs or just with your arms. And when you have completed those 2 cycles, allow the body to rest. Notice what muscles got engaged to do any of those movements, and allow them to soften. And your arms can rest above or beside, finding where your arms want to rest. And taking a breath or 2 here, allowing everything to soften. And when you're ready, you can bring your knees up to the ceiling, placing your feet flat on the floor again. And slowly, with control, we're going to take that right leg and glide the foot along the floor, slowly with control, lengthening the leg until the right leg is down, resting on the floor. Really watching that last little bit as it lengthens out fully. And allow yourself, when it is fully out, to rest and soften any muscles that got engaged to make that motion happen. And on your next breath, slowly with control, gliding that heel along the floor as you bring that knee up to the ceiling, slowly with control. Watch for that sensor motor amnesia. And if there is any, just lengthen again that little bit and bring it up slowly with control. And when you're up at the knees both to the ceiling, allow every muscle that got engaged to soften. Allow everything to rest. Now we're going to engage that left leg, being very curious as we slowly, with control, extend that left leg out straight, knowing that the mat might catch the leg, so you might want to move the mat and really allow yourself to slowly, with control, extend that leg out till it's long. Once it's long, allow every muscle that got engaged to soften and to rest. even those ones that are stabilizing. And again, knowing that your arms can be resting wherever is comfortable for you. And on your next breath, either inhale or exhale, it's really your call on what feels right. Slowly with control, bring that knee up and that foot flat, really watching for any sensor motor amnesia, taking the leg through that area where there might be some information missing. Remembering to breathe. And when you're back up with the foot flat on the floor and the knee pointed to the ceiling, allow every muscle that got engaged to soften and to rest. And when you're ready, go in with that right leg again, slow and steady with control, extending that right leg out, remembering to breathe, and just noticing if it's different than how it was before. When you get to neutral with the leg resting, allow every muscle to soften, every muscle to rest that got engaged. And when you're ready, slowly with control, bring that knee back up to the ceiling, really watching and feeling for any sense or motor amnesia. And allowing any sounds in our environment just to allow us to go deeper into our own focus. And when the foot is up at neutral, allow everything to soften, everything to rest. And taking a breath here as you do so. And now slowly with control, we're going to do the same with that left leg again. Slowly lengthening, noticing if there's any sensor motor amnesia in that leg. And again, noticing how it's different than it was the first time we did this. Really allowing yourself to be curious, remembering to breathe. And if you're at neutral, allowing yourself to soften and rest any muscles that got engaged to make that movement happen. And when you're ready, slowly with control, watching for any sensor motor amnesia, bringing that knee back up to the ceiling, gliding that foot along the floor, watching and listening, and taking the leg through any motions that it needs to again. When at neutral, allow it to rest. Allow your system to soften any muscles that got engaged. And after a breath here, allowing your legs to go out straight again. And giving a preparatory breath here. We're going to have a conversation with both legs, thinking about externally rotating from the hip, both legs out, letting the knees draw out and the hips open. You might notice as you do so, the soles of your feet will come together, a little bit, going into a gentle butterfly, really watching for any sensor motor amnesia. And bringing the heels of your feet up towards your buttocks, allowing the soles of your feet to come together. Allowing yourself, if it feels comfortable, to rest here for a breath. Allowing anything that can soften to soften. And then slowly with control, allowing the feet to glide back down on the floor as your legs slowly with control come back to neutral. And when your legs are long, allowing a breath and allowing yourself to soften and rest any muscles that got engaged. And slowly with control, internally rotating. And so we're going to do knock-kneed. So our knees are going to turn in towards each other as we internally rotate from the hips. And then we can slide and glide the heels along the sides up, allowing our knees to become more knock-kneed. And if it feels right for you, remembering only going to where it's comfortable, can you rest at the top point just for a moment, allowing anything that can soften to soften. And slowly with control, allowing the legs and feet to go back down to neutral, following that same line that we did coming up. And when we get to neutral, allowing those hips to externally rotate, thinking of our soles coming together, coming into butterfly again, bringing the soles of the feet up to the glutes. And when you're at the point of, as far as you feel comfortable to go, allow yourself to rest in that position for a moment, allowing everything to soften that can soften. And when you're ready, allowing your legs to extend out to neutral, feeling the change in the hips as they begin to go to neutral, a gentle internal rotation. When at neutral, internally rotate from the hips, bringing the knees into knock-kneed and drawing the feet up along the side. Remembering only going as far as comfortable and allowing your body to rest there if it feels right for you. See if you can soften anything anymore. And when you're ready, slowly following that same line back to neutral, feeling the external rotations start to happen in the hips. And one more time through the cycle, bringing the soles of the feet together, having the legs from the hips externally rotating, and going into butterfly and resting a moment at the top, allowing things to soften if they can. And slowly with control, extending the legs out to neutral, noticing the change in through the knees and the hips. As you get to neutral, internally rotating and bringing the feet along the floor, internally rotating, creating that knock-kneed, the knees coming together only as far as comfortable. And slowly, once you reach the top, allow yourself to notice, can you soften any muscles in this position? Slowly with control, allowing the legs to follow that same line back down to neutral. And when you're at neutral, allow the body to rest, letting any muscles that got engaged to soften. And if you need to readjust your body at this point, please do. always listen to your Soma. And sometimes a readjustment can be bringing your feet flat on the floor and gently lifting the pelvis off of the floor, just to allow the sacrum to reset, allowing the hips to reset, and allowing yourself just to notice what you notice. And when you're ready, you can turn over onto your stomach. And so once you're on your stomach, your hands will be placed crisscross up and underneath your left cheek. So your left cheek will rest on your right palm, or on your palm or the back of your hand. And remembering only if it's right for you, really allowing yourself to sense in or allow the movement to occur. You see what is right for you. And so when you're ready, gently thinking about lifting the head, neck, and elbow, and shoulder, and chest up off of the floor very gently as you look over that right shoulder, and slowly with control, bringing it all back down to neutral. And allow everything to soften, everything to rest. Taking a breath or two here. And when you're ready, on the next breath, thinking about lifting that head, neck, chest, and shoulder up off and engaging the left leg, lifting it gently off the floor from the hip, slowly with control, lengthening the back body as you slowly come back down to neutral. Allowing your body to rest and soften any muscles that got engaged. And when you're ready, lifting that head, neck, elbow, and opposite leg, shortening the area between your hip and your shoulder blade, and slowly with control, lengthening the back body, bringing it back down to neutral, and watching for that, if any, sense or motor amnesia. Really trusting your body and allowing it to soften when you're back at neutral. Really let yourself witness in where it can move and where it can't. Letting yourself be curious on this next one, and this final one on this side. Thinking about your eyes looking over your shoulder, and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Really watching in that leg for that sensor motor amnesia. And once you're back at neutral, allow everything to soften and everything to rest. And if it feels right for you, allowing yourself to be curious and just engaging the leg. Thinking about lifting from the hip and slowly with control, bringing it back down. And if there's a lot of sensor motor amnesia in that movement, that's maybe a good one to very gently play with. And allowing everything to soften. and everything to rest. And then when you're ready, turning your head to the opposite side. So we're looking towards that left elbow now, thinking about our hand being glued to the right cheek. So when we lift the hand, elbow, shoulder, and head up off the floor, thinking about opening the front body and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Really noticing how this side's different from the other. Watching for any sensor motor amnesia and helping it relearn that area. When you're back to neutral, allow every muscle to soften that got engaged, every muscle to rest. And then when you're ready, after a preparatory breath, again lifting that left elbow, shoulder, and head up off the floor, lifting that opposite leg from the hip, and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral, keeping your wonderful eye and curiosity on any sensor motor amnesia. Help the body relearn. Watching that final step as you go down to neutral. Allow everything to soften, everything to rest. And when you're ready, bringing that head, neck, and elbow up off the floor, lifting that leg, thinking about looking with your eyes over that left shoulder, and slowly with control, when you're back at neutral, allowing everything to soften, everything to rest. And one more time, thinking this time about that shoulder blade and the hip drawing together, and slowly with control, bringing it all back down to neutral. And just noticing how that was different from the first time. And when you're back at neutral, allow every muscle that got engaged, every tiny muscle in through the spine that got engaged, maybe even muscles in your face, allowing them to soften and rest. And just out of curiosity, seeing just the leg now, thinking about lifting from the hip and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Watching for that sensor motor amnesia. And watching that final little placement as it connects to the floor, having control all the way down. Then allowing yourself to fully rest. And so another good one when we're laying on our belly is even just with one leg bending at the knee and really watching, can we now slowly with control bring that bent leg straight again? And so remembering that less is more. Sometimes taking it up to 90 degrees might be a very ambitious state. And so as we bring it down, just really allowing it to feel any sensor motor amnesia Notice how controlled can we bring that leg back down to neutral. And you may notice if you took your knee up to 90, coming back down is a long journey. Honoring your knees if they don't like this. And really listening into that sensor motor amnesia. That last 45% is almost going to be the hardest. So when we bring the knee up, coming up to 45 is usually plenty. And so if you've already made it to neutral, allowing yourself to take that leg just up to 45 and bringing it slowly with control back down to neutral. Watching that final leg as you get down to fully rest on the floor, having the control as you reach that final step. When the leg is at neutral, allow everything to soften, everything to rest. And when you're ready with the opposite leg, just bending up to 45 or even less, and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Watching for that sensor motor amnesia. And watching that final step as you bring it back down to neutral. And sometimes you may notice little muscle cramps come into play on this. You listen to your Soma and adjust as you need to. And when at neutral, allow everything to soften. All the muscles that got engaged, even the ones that might be thinking from the other side, allow them all to soften. And one more time with that last leg. Lifting from the knee, bending the knee, only as far as is right for you, remembering less is more. And slowly with control, bringing that lower leg back down to the floor. And for this one, your head can be turned to the side or at neutral. You do what is right for you. And when you are back at neutral, allow everything to soften and everything to rest. So after taking a few breaths here, allow yourself to roll onto your left or right side, whatever's right for you. And so when we are on our side, we want to think about being in a very tall chair. Our knees will be at 90, allowing our lower arm to support our head or acquiring a pillow. And seeing if we can notice, are our shoulders stacked? Is that bottom shoulder directly underneath the top shoulder? And seeing if we can notice, are we leaning back or forward? And are our hips in line with our shoulders? Or do we have a gentle pitch forward or pitch back? Just allowing ourselves to be curious. And we want the knees out at 90 as if we were sitting in a big, tall chair. And if we glance down past our knee, we'll be able to see the tips of our toes. And allow the attention just to be in that lower leg for a moment. Thinking about internally rotating that upper thigh, keeping our knees together, the top foot will gently rise to the ceiling. Remembering going only as far as is comfortable. Less is more, and slowly with control, bringing it all back to neutral. Watching for any sensor motor amnesia along the way. When you notice it, recontract and slowly bring it through. Help the body remember. Also remembering to breathe as you do this. And watching that bottom step as you get to the end. Really being mindful of the control all the way through the movement. When you're at neutral, allowing everything to soften and everything to rest. We're going to then take that top hand, lifting it up and above the head to open that side body. The hand can be rested on the head or above the head, the ear or the top of the head, whatever is comfortable for you. We're going to think about bringing the head and the elbow up towards the ceiling, thinking about that armpit moving down towards the hip, and slowly with control, lengthening back to neutral. Watching for any sensor motor amnesia. Remembering less can be a lot more. And when you're at neutral, allow everything to soften, everything to rest. And on your next one, we're going to engage the leg and the arm, neck, and head, thinking about shortening that area between the hip and the armpit, and slowly lengthening through the side body, seeing if you can lower the leg and the head and the body at the same time, watching that final step with control. And when at neutral, allow yourself to breathe and soften everything that got engaged. And one more time on this side. Shortening that line between the armpit and the hip, having that internal rotation of the leg, knees together, side of the foot rises to the ceiling as the head, neck, and elbow lift up to shorten that side body. And slowly, with control, lengthening back down to neutral. When you're at neutral, allowing everything to rest, everything to soften. When you're ready, allowing yourself to lay on your back for a moment and notice, does one side feel longer than the other? Does one side feel like it expands more as you breathe? And when you're ready, laying on the opposite side, thinking about being in that big, tall chair, allowing your knees to be at 90, really allowing yourself to notice in if your shoulders are in line or if you're leaned back a little bit. So really seeing if you can find alignment. You might even have to readjust that bottom shoulder. Again, honoring if it doesn't feel comfortable. We want to make sure that we're doing things in comfort, but we also want to be curious about everything else too. And so having those knees bent at 90, you glance down, you can see the tip of your toes, thinking about a very tall chair. So your body, your shoulders are in line with your hips. And so if you bring the hips back a little bit, or your shoulders forward, finding if you can be in a very high, tall back chair. Wonderful. Allowing yourself to be curious as you lay here, just noticing how it might feel different from the other side. And the preparatory breath. And then on your next inhale, we're going to think about just that leg again. Thinking about internally rotating from the thigh. Those knees stay together. That top foot gently rises to the ceiling. Noticing how it's different from the other leg. And slowly, with control, bringing it back down to neutral. Really watching for any gaps, any sensor motor amnesia. And taking it into a gentle contraction and taking it through that movement again. Always being curious and on the lookout for any sensor motor amnesia. Any schmas, we say. We want to help the body remember. Really watching that last step as we get to the bottom. Finding control as we reach the end. Allow everything that got engaged, all the muscles to soften, all the muscles to rest. And when we're ready, we're going to rise that top hand up and above the head. And when you're ready, thinking about bringing the head, neck, and elbow up to the ceiling, thinking about bringing that armpit towards the hip, and slowly with control, bringing it back down to neutral, allowing that side body to lengthen, watching for any sensor motor amnesia. And when we get to neutral, allow all the muscles that got engaged throughout our whole body, allow them to soften, allow them to rest. When you're ready, we're going to engage the head, neck, and elbow, and the leg this time, thinking about that internal rotation. Foot up to the ceiling, lifting that elbow, head, and neck, shortening that side line between the armpit and the hip, and slowly with control, allowing it all to lengthen back to neutral. Watching in and noticing for any sensor motor amnesia, and allowing the body to take a little bit of contraction again and help the body remember, taking it through that motion where there was the sensor motor amnesia. Once you're back at neutral, watching that last step, allowing everything that got engaged to soften, everything to rest. And one more time on this side at your own pace. Seeing if you can bring that hip up to the armpit and the armpit to the hip, and slowly with control, lengthening. Letting that hip back to neutral. And really watching that final step. And when you're back at neutral, allowing everything to soften and everything to rest. Taking your time and rolling onto your back. With your legs straight, allow yourself to notice if the sides feel more the same now. I'm going to finish with a tilt and flatten. So when you're ready, you can bring your feet flat up on the floor, knees pointed to the ceiling. Arms can rest wherever they feel comfortable. Taking a preparatory breath here. And on your next inhale, thinking about that belly button rising to the ceiling, gentle arch in the back. Shoulder blades will come down to the hips and the hips gently up to the shoulder blades. And as you exhale, really allowing the focus to be on your abdomen. As you contract and exhale, the back will flatten to the floor. Your hips and your shoulder blades will lengthen and create distance between each other. And as you breathe in, you'll notice that tip of the tailbone tilting down to the floor. That gentle arch in the back, and breathing out. Tip of the tailbone rises to the ceiling. Your shoulder blades and your hips find distance from each other, and your back flattens on the floor. Taking yourself through this breath 2 more times at your own pace. Allowing yourself to be curious, what parts of your body can move with this breath? What parts can you invite softness into? And when you've completed your breath cycles, allow your legs to go long. If it is comfortable for you. Allowing yourself to be curious, going through your final body scan. Allowing yourself to honor your Soma with curiosity. And as you do the Soma scan, allowing your focus and attention to go to your breath. Noticing how it is different than it was when we started. Does it reach more areas of your body? Does it come with more ease, more expansion? Moving your focus into your head. Noticing if your head is resting differently on the floor than it was before. Moving the attention into the neck. Noticing, is there less tension? Is there a softness? How is the neck different than when we started? Moving your focus into your shoulders. Are they in a different place than when we started? Is there more space between your shoulders and your ears? Do they rest more gently and evenly into the floor? Moving your attention to the shoulder blades, noticing how they may lay differently on the floor. Are they more even or balanced? Moving the attention in through the chest. Noticing, is it broader? Drawing our focus down into the mid-back, into the lower ribs. Noticing how it feels different than it did before. Noticing how your breath can enter and expand just a little differently than it could before. Moving into the front ribs and abdomen. Noticing how that region feels different than before. Is there softness and more ease? Does it feel like there's more space or room? Or like the sides are longer? Moving your focus now into your lower back, glutes, pelvic floor, and sacrum. Do the hips rest differently on the floor? Broader, softer, more even. A little more distance from the rib cage. Notice how the sacrum rests on the floor. moving into the hips and thighs, all the way down to the legs. Notice, do they feel longer or softer? Is there less tension? Do the joints feel a little more spacious? Noticing into the ankles, the tops, and the soles of the feet. Is there less tension all the way to the tips of the toes? Just allowing yourself to notice your Soma as it is now. Allow this to be a point of reference through the coming day. Allow yourself in this moment to recognize all the ease and the space, the softness that you feel. And at any point in the coming day or coming days, allow yourself to remember this sensation, this you in this moment. Physiologically, your body and mind will come back to this state of being. It may come all the way here, or it may land somewhere along the spectrum. And just allowing yourself to remember what this existence of you feels like. Taking your time with it now. And if it's right for you, allowing yourself to slowly position yourself on your side, coming back into the here and the now. Or if you're listening to this in the evening, just allow yourself to rest into slumber.